Is it social media something that you, as a teacher, will use it as an innovative, creative way of learning?
No.
Oh no, big no.
Absolutely
Big
no.
no. Hello everyone, welcome back to Playdate podcast, reminiscing your childhood memories, presented by Cerita Lanaa. With me, Dea, as your host today. Okay, so today we will discuss the second topic. It will be about reimagining play in digitalization from Scottish education. Yay! And please welcome my friends, Amy Stuart. Yay!
Hello.
Is it correct?
Stuart.
Okay,
Hi. So my name's Amy Stuart. I am on a course at the moment with Dea before she disappears to Denmark, and I stay in Glasgow.
Yeah.
So that's how we know each other. We're both studying masters in children's literature and media and that sort of thing. I am from Edinburgh in Scotland, and I have been working for the past sort of 8 years as a high school English teacher.
Okay, so it will be very, very interesting discussion because we want to hear how digital literacy going on in Scotland because it will be very interesting. Okay, so today it's like what we will do yesterday. We'll play this game. Okay, I will introduce you again.
Sure.
This game. So the name of this game is Chongklak. But just for your information, there are a lot of name of this game, but in my region we call it Chongklak.
Chongklak.
Okay, great.
Nice.
And so the way we play this game, it will be like this. Actually, it should be 7. This one, the whole one should be 7, but because it will not suitable for my luggage, so I just
You bought the compact version.
The compact one.
Nice.
And this game will, I think like this game can teach us many things as a children, especially because the game will play by grabbing this cell. Okay, it's like try to improve the motoric system, and then you will arrange the self on your whole. Okay, so it will be 5. Okay, and then you will count. It's like 1, 2, 3, and you will learn about numeric. And when we play this game, we try to collect the self or the stone. So the more stone or self that you have, the more chance for you to win.
Okay, so it's the most shells wins.
Yeah,
okay,
that's right. And it's like to win this game, we try to think strategically. So it will improve our logical thinking, strategic thinking.
Hopefully.
So please, you can grab yours and then please arrange your hole 5 for every hole. Oh, I just realized what you said. I just doing by one hand and you with 2 hands.
Yeah, because I guess I'm not used to it, no?
Yeah. I will use this one.
Perfect. Okay, great.
Okay, so this will be your hole.
Okay.
This is my hole.
Yeah.
So when play this game, you need to how to say it, like play
like redistribute.
Yeah, that's right. Redistribute the
shells.
the shell, and then you need to collect as many shell that you can.
In my home.
Yeah,
in my home.
Yeah, this is your home. Then this is my home.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Okay, but actually the real game, if you this is just for example. This is the real game. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can still.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Wow. But because, like I said, it will be very difficult for us to talking.
Yeah.
So I change a bit the rules. Yeah, that's right. So it's just one movement.
Okay. Sure.
Okay, and we will begin by doing this one.
Oh yeah.
Do you still remember?
People, ant,
and
elephant. Okay.
And we'll say, okay. Can we say 1, 2, 3?
1, 2, 3.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Like that.
Okay.
Satu, dua, tiga. Okay.
You win.
Yeah,
because you're a
that's
person
right.
on the map.
Okay,
Very good.
great.
Holy
Great.
moly.
But before that,
Mm-hmm.
what do you consider yourself? Do you wanna be Tim Lala or Tim Nano? Just for your information, we are Cerita Lanaa. Lana stand for Lala and Nano. Okay.
Combination.
Yeah, combination.
Okay.
Lala, if you are Tim Lala, it means you consider yourself as updated person.
Okay.
If you are Tim Nano, it means you consider yourself as borderless person, or it's like have no limit. Like you can connect worldwide seamlessly.
Yeah,
like
very
that.
good. Yeah, okay.
So how do you consider
I
yourself?
would be Team Nano.
Team Nano.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will be Team Lala. So please put leave in on the comment who will win. Team
Probably
Nano
not me.
or Team Lala.
Let's see.
Okay, let's see. I will begin first doing like this.
Yeah.
And then I will give you question.
Go
My
on.
first question, since we play Indonesian traditional game.
Yeah.
So please share to us what is the traditional Scottish traditional game that you play when you were a child.
Okay. So I mean, I can't think of anything that looks like this. That's like a board game or a tabletop game that's traditionally Scottish. You know, in Scottish families, when I was growing up, you would play things like dominoes or Monopoly, but they're not Scottish games.
Okay.
I should take some of these now.
Okay.
So what I think is the most sort of traditional Scottish game that I can think of was a game that we played in the street, outdoors with other children.
Okay.
And it was called Jump the Haggis.
Okay, Jump the Haggis.
Yeah,
Okay.
so haggis is technically a type of meat, but some people believe or are fooled to believe that it's an animal. It's not actually an animal, but there's like a myth around the haggis being an animal. But what the game was is that you would stand in a circle of friends and one person would stand in the middle and they would have a skipping rope in their hand. But they would only hold one side of the skipping rope and the other side would be free.
Would be free.
Yeah. So no one's holding the other side.
Okay.
And what the person does, they stand in the middle with the skipping rope and they whip the skipping rope around sort of at like your feet level.
Okay.
And it's called Jump the Haggis because you have to jump over the skipping rope when it comes to you in the circle.
Okay.
And if it hits you, you're out. You're out of the game if it hits you. If you can't jump over it quick enough.
All right.
And the person in the middle can also change the height of the skipping rope as it goes round. They can change the speed and make it quicker.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess that's very specific to Scotland because it's called Jump the Haggis.
Okay. Yeah. It's great.
But it's something that we used to play in the street.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, I still remember that yesterday we talked about how you pick the role. It based on, it's like you can pick yours.
Yeah.
It's like you can just hands up and then I want to be the one who
has a skipping rope. Yeah.
And you know, it's kind of different from Indonesia.
Sure.
Because like what we do, what we did.
Yeah.
We always did that.
To decide.
Yeah, to decide.
It's very democratic.
Yeah, very democratic.
In Scotland, we're not so like that.
Yeah.
Well,
what different?
When I was growing up, it was like you could just choose to be the person in the middle, or you could all take turns.
Yeah.
But there wasn't always like a system of I'm first in the alphabet, so I have to go first or something. There was no system.
There is no system.
It was just decided on the day.
Yeah. But kind of there are a lot of things that I want to talk, but let me play. Oops, sorry. Since that's the game that you remember in your childhood, as your childhood memories, what do you think the value from that game shape yourself as Amy today?
Okay. Well, I guess lots of different things because it's a game. I mean, it's quite a physical game, but it's also like a community game. You need lots of other people to play it. Okay. You can't just play it with two people. So
it will be boring.
Yeah, and it doesn't really work because you're spinning it around in a circle.
Okay.
And if you can jump over it, depends on if the person before has jumped over it. But it also means that as a young person growing up, if you want to play that game, you have to have some confidence and go and ask people to play it with you. So you have to be good at making friends. And inviting people into some sort of a social scenario. So I definitely think, and I used to play a lot on the street as a young girl, and I think it gave me a lot of confidence with other people. I wasn't, hidden in my room, playing a game on my own or just reading on my own. I did that too. I spent a lot of time on the street, so it definitely gave me confidence. But the second thing is you start to figure out, I guess, like how comfortable you are with like challenging people and being kind of violent as well. It can be quite a violent game. If you have the haggis and you're in the middle, you can decide how quickly to whip the skipping rope round. If you really want to try and get people out, or if you just want to play a peaceful game, and I definitely didn't like playing with the children in the street that like to do it fast and violently and really hit you. So I guess it also teaches you about like your own limits and the ways that you want to interact with people, whether it's a little bit more peaceful and friendly or whether it's competition and it's serious, you know?
Even though I have heard that, I still imagine if we play together, you would behead me.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm that ambitious,
competitive
person. So if I'll be the haggis who will rob the
like throw the haggis around effectively.
I will like how to hit you. It's like
how to get them out.
And then it should be as hard as I can. And because of that, I'm very grateful because we meet as an adult.
So I don't judge you.
Because you will hate me.
I didn't hate those kids. I just always felt a bit like, oh dear, this one's gonna be sore.
You're
yes. Let's go this one.
What? Okay. All right. Okay. So my next question. Let me play first. And then I'm thinking, oh my god, I'm so sorry.
No.
Kind of cheating.
She can't win now. She can't win.
You are a teacher, English teacher. For the secondary high school. Do you think it's still relevant for children? And do you, and as a teacher, if you think so, it's relevant and it's significant. How you want to introduce that game
interesting
to your student?
It's a really interesting question because it did play quite a big part in my childhood, and we used to play it all the time, and we were out on the street all the time. But I don't see how I could justify playing that when it can be quite a violent game. Especially as an English teacher. I mean, maybe I have taught drama in the past as well. So maybe in the drama class there's more, physical warm up. There's more team building that becomes really important. But I still don't think I could play Jump the Haggis in schools today because it's quite violent, or it can be. I think I could play other playground games, other things that I played in the street with friends as a child. But I actually think that if I tried to play Jump the Haggis with children in school, I would have problems with the school administration. I don't think it's a bad thing for kids to be doing. I still think it's interesting to navigate social situations and trying to make friends and building sort of a group of people. And I think navigating violence happens in childhood. So it's not necessarily an unhealthy thing to do. I mean, even a lot of contact sport is navigating violence to some extent. If you play rugby or if you play basketball, there's still a lot of contact. So I definitely think kids could still be playing it in the street and there's not much harm. However, I don't think the school would see it like that. I don't think I would be allowed to play it in schools.
Okay, great. Okay, anyway.
Yes, please.
I think I will go this one. Okay, so my next question, since you said about that game, your school will not allow to play that game in the school. And you said that when you were a child, you always go outside, go to the street, play with people. Do you? Yeah, I just want to know about how children's today. In Indonesia, when I was a child, many parents will, there's a term like, in the past, your parents ask you to go inside.
Yeah, you have to be forced inside.
Yeah, because it's like you always go outside, play with your friends.
Yeah.
But today, parents today, they force their children to go outside. And do you know the name of our podcast is Playdate?
Yeah.
It is because I took this, or maybe Cerita Lanaa took this term from the very popular term in Indonesia.
Yeah.
When you are, okay, let's say you are parents, and then you make a schedule or make appointment with the other parents.
Yeah.
So your children can play together outside.
But very organized.
Very organized.
Yeah.
So it's completely different with what happened with me in the past. It's like I don't need my parents to schedule the time.
Your playtime.
Yeah. I can just go outside and then going to my friend's home, and then let's say, Amy, let's play together.
Yeah.
Without any schedule. So yeah, that's happened in Indonesia. So how about in Scotland?
Yeah. So from what I have seen, is a kind of similar story, I guess. There has been a big change. Yes, we used to have the same as you guys, where our parents would be like forcing us in to come and eat our dinner because we would be out in the street all night long if we chose ourselves. So it was the same situation as I think you've described. However, I think nowadays things have changed in our society in Scotland. From what I've seen, again, I'm not the representative of all of Scotland.
No, you are. No, you are.
But in my context, it's different now because children are now asking their parents if they can go outside to play.
Oh, okay.
So it's not quite the same as what you've described, but there's still a significant change. It used to be, you have to come in now, it's bedtime, or you have to come in, it's dinner time. And now it's, Mum, can I go out and play with this person? And I'll be just there.
Okay.
So you, as a child nowadays, you ask your parent if you're allowed outside, and you tell them exactly where you'll be and who you'll be with. And there's, again, this is just my own experience, there's a lot of sort of fear and rules about where you can be until what time you can be there. I think there's a little bit more restriction and more fear in parents about just letting their children out in the same way that we were. We were let out the house and our parents didn't know where exactly we were or who exactly we were with. They knew more or less from the routine. They knew, okay, she'll be with this person, this person, probably. And she'll either be in this street or in that street or in the park or over in that street, you know. But nowadays, if you have a child here, they tell you exactly where they're going to be, who they're going to be with, and how long they'll be there.
Anyway.
Oh yeah, sorry.
If you forget, I will win.
Yeah, true.
Do you think it is because digitalization? What I mean, it's like because there are a lot of information that they can access, and then maybe they see so many videos about something bad will happen with their children. So that's become one of the reasons why Scottish parents become like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always been news stories about child abductions or kids going missing or kids becoming injured in terrible accidents. But I definitely think you had to sort of choose a little bit more actively in the past to follow those stories, to watch the news every night, to buy the newspaper, which most parents were doing. But it wasn't accessible at all hours of the day. And now parents definitely have access to those horrible stories at all hours of the day. That's not to say that there are more or less of those incidents happening. But there's definitely more immediate awareness of it on our phones, on our laptops, on the radio. So maybe that's part of it, but I also think another part of it is the institutions. So, for instance, in many Scottish primary schools, you can't have your children just leave the school at the end of the day and walk home alone.
Okay.
And when I was growing up, that was normal. You know, at the end of the day, your teacher was responsible for making sure you had your bag, your shoes, your coat on,
Okay.
and then they sent you home. And you
Today?
were when I was a child.
Okay.
So we were just allowed to walk home, and I
Okay.
walked home with my siblings every day.
Okay.
But nowadays, an adult and a recognised adult has to be in the playground at the end of the school day.
Oh, okay.
And the child will not be allowed to leave the school unless they're with a recognised adult. So it could be their mum or dad or a grandparent or an aunt or uncle, but it has to be somebody that the school knows and that is allowed to pick up the child.
Oh.
So I also think those kinds of restrictions send a message that children shouldn't be on their own outside. They're not allowed to walk home from school, even if they live just 2 streets away from school. You know, these things send a message to parents as well. So I think the schools becoming more protective also has a knock-on effect to parents. Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I don't want to be accused of cheating. I can't do this with one hand yet. I'm not very good.
It's fine. I think I have.
Yeah, I think one fell.
Okay. My next question. Do you still remember what is your first digital media or your interaction with digital? I mean, like, because you learn about this, you know how to handle all the things that very fast, very up to date. And with that knowledge, how do you see children, especially who are the digital natives?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't consider myself a digital native.
Okay.
I spent all of my primary school with very minimal contact with technology. So we had, and I went to a very ordinary, public school in the UK, in Scotland, and we had one quite old 1990s Mac between 2 classrooms. So that was
2 classrooms.
So that was 60 children sharing.
Oh my god, I think it's 16. It's
60. So there's 30 children per class.
Oh yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, so 60 children and they share one computer.
Okay.
And so any time that you have on that computer is very, very slight. And I don't even remember having that much interaction on it really, and certainly not much meaningful interaction.
Yeah. It's just maybe it's like maybe there is one person doing that, and then the other just watching.
Yeah, or you do it in small groups and you get sent to the computer. But I don't remember doing anything meaningful. It was probably to play some games, very like elementary games at that time. So yeah, I wouldn't consider myself a digital native at all. I think all of my students are, because I'm a high school teacher. They're now, 14, 15. They were brought up in this millennium, so it's very different. But I do think that because I wasn't a digital native, in high school, I remember we were taught in our computing classes, this is how to do the very basic things. This is how to open up a Word document and how to name it and how to change your font and change the size and all of that. This is how to open up an Excel spreadsheet. This is how to make a presentation. We were moved through all those basics. And it's actually quite shocking, I think, now that some of my students don't know those basics. And I think it's because the education system assumes that because you grow up with technology in your hand, as a child you have a tablet, and then you have a mobile very young, you have a phone and it can do everything, and you've got a laptop or a computer at home, and everyone's managing their television even like it's a computer, moving between apps and searching for things on their TV. That I think the schools just assume that they know everything. But actually, I had an experience last year with a 14-year-old student who didn't know how to work Google Docs.
Wow.
So I had to show her how to create a new document, how to share it, how to allow the access to different people, even silly things like how to make subheadings, and like how to change the font, how to highlight things, how to add comments. She didn't know how to do all these things.
Even add comments?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Which is quite shocking. I was quite shocked as well. And she admitted to me, I'm not a very digital person. She's got lots of skills, and this wasn't one of them. And she felt like she just didn't have the tools. And I guess it's because the school system thinks all kids know everything.
Yeah.
But I don't think all kids do, from my personal experience.
I think it's something that I really want to hear because I came here, but with my very big interest in digital literacy, especially with my background in Indonesia. So do you know in Indonesia we just have digital literacy curriculum after pandemic.
Oh wow! Okay.
That's after pandemic. Maybe before that we have the awareness,
Yeah.
but for the formal learning for the institution, we just have it after the pandemic, 2021. Okay, so they tried to apply 3 pillars. Is it correct to say pillars?
Yeah, absolutely.
3 pillars of digital literacy. We call it tahu. Tahu it's like knowing or recognizing. And then tanggap, it's like responsive.
Okay.
And then tangguh, it's like resilient.
Ah, okay.
But when I read the curriculum, there are 4 models, and then mostly they still talk about like the audience, the participant can open this, can send this. Me personally, I feel like they know about that.
Yeah.
You don't need to talk about that. Let's talk about the more things,
more complex things,
things. Because yesterday I talked with Libby to talk about how the Australian government tried to apply new policy about banning social media as one of their action to to make their citizen, especially the teenager one, to be more resilient from the risks that maybe happen from the social media. Okay, online. So because of that, as an Indonesian, I think like, why my country still talk about this technical skill?
Yeah.
We need something more.
Yeah.
Because if
about safety and ethics.
If something big happen on internet, it will not only affect the developed country like Australia, UK, Scotland, but my country will get the impact from that happen. But they still try to encourage us about that technical things. So from what you said, it makes me thinking. Maybe what they do, it's kind of good.
It's valid.
Yeah, but maybe it's not only about that.
It has to go beyond just the basic skills. And also, I should say that loads of my students are very, very, very capable. And so it's not everybody that is left behind and doesn't know the basics. But I do think there is a group of people who feel left behind. It's assumed that they're digital natives and therefore digital experts. And they're not.
Okay.
So I think sometimes we as an education system can over-assume or overestimate. But it's not everybody. Obviously, some people are experts.
But I think it's kind of interesting talking about over-assume. Because at the end, we maybe it's like we need to back to the roots. Learning about basic thing, technical thing, it's still something children, even though they are the digital native, they still need that.
Right? And in terms of like the more academic side of things, like files and spreadsheets and presentations and all of that, those are things that you need to learn in order to progress in your school and beyond into the workplace. And that's not the sort of thing that most children are doing on their own for fun. A lot of what they're doing for fun is the internet stuff and software and apps, but they're not necessarily creating, presentations and posters and
poster.
Oh gosh, no, honestly. We had a poster, we're laughing because we had a poster assignment this year. And so this is a more proof of how I'm not a digital native and how I learned all these sort of basic skills when I was in high school. But I'm not familiar or very comfortable with like more recent apps or technology. So we had to make these posters this year and I thought, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? Because I had never used Canva before. And Canva's like everywhere, but I hadn't needed it.
Yeah.
Because in schools, we still do quite a lot on PowerPoint presentations.
Okay.
Or we do things on Prezi.
Okay.
Or on other sort of interactive
Okay.
like tablets and things like that. And Canva was completely new to me, and I thought, oh my god, I'm going to fail. This is going to look terrible. It was fine, but I think there is like a discomfort for some people.
Yeah.
And it's assumed that if you know this, then you know everything. But it's not the case, I don't think.
Yeah.
Not for me.
Yeah. I think your turn.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll take a turn.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So, my next question, when we talk about that Scottish parents, maybe it's also about because the institution become more protective with their children. In Indonesia, they create the account, social media account, for the class.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's good because it's like trying to capture moment.
Yeah.
For the children.
To create a community.
Create community. And not only that, sometimes school not only using social media for capturing the moment, but also they use social media as assignment.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, as assignment.
So you're submitting things over social media?
Over social media. Sometimes we'll with hashtag, so it will be easier for the teacher to check it. Okay. This phenomenon bring one of the impacts, which is many youngster in Indonesia have more than one social media account. Okay, let's say you have Instagram.
Yeah.
So you will have the first Instagram as your main account.
Yeah.
Okay, so people publicly can
your
know
personal
you. Yeah.
account. Yeah.
The second one, sometimes they will use it for submitting assignment, or maybe the second one, the third one, maybe they need to promote something for getting the money.
Or like paid adverts and things,
Maybe, and then they have another one just for joining competition, because if you want to join competition, you need to repost something, and they don't want to repost in the first account. And maybe the last one, the fifth one, maybe they create it because they want to stalk, or they want to check something. There are teenager things. Okay. Falling in love with someone, and I just want to know you.
Anonymously. Okay.
So what happened in Scotland?
So it's like what you're talking about, protection. It's this is also a thing that happens in lots of Scottish schools, lots of UK schools, even international schools, where teachers aren't even allowed to follow their students on social media. The students aren't allowed to be friends with their teachers on social media. Lots of teachers will actually change their names on social media, so it's harder to find them. They'll use their middle names, or they'll change their surnames, because we're not allowed to have any sort of unofficial contact with our students. And that's to protect us as teachers and the students, so that there's no grey area. There's
gray area?
Yeah, so that your relationship with your students is teacher-student. And it's not to say that that's completely distant and cold and awful, but the appropriate time to have your contact is in school, or in after-school activities, or on school trips. And you have contact with the parents, and you have contact with your other teachers, and it's all in a professional setting. When you move on to social media, it's not a professional setting anymore. That's a personal space. And so institutions here want to protect teachers and students, and say there should not be any other contact, because you can't really police that. You can't really say to a teacher, okay, show me your private messages with the student. It
will be very awful.
Yeah, it's very difficult to enforce that. So, yeah, we would never, ever. It's kind of shocking to me that you would have like a class Instagram and submit things on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. Never. I mean, teachers might be using certain posts or stories, maybe even TikTok challenges, but it would never be mandatory, and it would never be like an official way of submitting assignments or interacting with your teacher. Or at least it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
It's very different here.
Even though I have heard about that, now I'm still jealous about their
Really?
policy, because in Indonesia it's like there is no. Okay, I just want a disclaimer. This is my opinion.
This is all my opinion too. We're not experts on our countries. We have our own perspectives. No.
Is it social media something that you, as a teacher, will use it as an innovative, creative way of learning?
No.
Oh no! Big no.
Absolutely no.
Oh my God, we almost forget about this.
Honestly, keep going. Sorry, you were saying.
Okay, because one thing that I remember when I developed Cerita Lanaa, we have a big concern about data protection for children.
Yeah.
It is because back in 2021, there's a trend in Indonesia. Do you know, if you have Instagram and then you can post stories?
Yeah.
And on the stories there are a lot of features. One of them, it's like at yours.
Yeah.
So you can make a trend. Okay. So at that moment, the trend, it's like exposing your private data, like your birthday.
Yeah.
And then maybe like your father's name, mother's name, your childhood's name. Okay. And this trend bring a bad impact, which is stealing.
Yeah,
robbing.
And people's information getting stolen, but also like you can hack into bank accounts.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. I thought it's only happened 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Do you know, today I still find this trend in different way happens on social media in Indonesia. Today, people, I can say it's not only children or teenager. I think it's also adults. They are willingly to post their ID card. It's not the whole ID card, just the name and also the birthday. Just to show
But it must have their photo as well.
Yeah, with the photo. Just to share that their birthday similar to their idol, or maybe their partner, or maybe anyone, maybe their friends. Okay. And it's similar things. It will make something bad happen with their data privacy. But it's happened. Okay.
That's quite shocking.
Yeah, that's shocking. Just share with us, as you have very protective regulation.
Yeah.
What should we do? And you are also a teacher, right? An educator. Give us an advice from your point. Not advice, maybe the tips, or maybe anything that you want to share.
Anything that I say also comes from a context of me having only been a teacher in the time of lots of data protection, lots of regulations. So to me, it seems completely normal. But if you were to speak to older teachers that have been teaching for 20, 30 years, things have changed radically. So they would have the two different perspectives of what things, used to be like and what they're like now. I mean, personally, I just don't interact with students online, and it feels the safest thing for me to do. So I guess if you also think that that's the safest thing to do, you shouldn't have your children interacting with their teachers online either. It just muddies the water. And by that, I mean, it just makes things complicated. And you can't necessarily say, well, this was wholly professional when it's happening on a personal platform. So, I think the easiest thing to do is sometimes not the natural thing to do. But the easiest thing to do is not to have that contact online, not to be following your teachers. But obviously, if it's in your system, your education system, that you're in TikTok and Instagram with your teachers and you're submitting things, I don't know how easy that is to control. And not being a parent, I'm not going to give any parents any tips on how to parent. But in terms of school interaction, I mean, I feel safer for myself and my students knowing that there's nothing unprofessional happening. But it's really tricky, and it's really tricky across different cultures as well, because some cultures have very, very close relationships with teachers, and teachers are really like secondary parents.
Yeah.
And other cultures are very distant.
Yeah.
I think Scotland has it sort of easy because we're somewhere in the middle. We like our teachers, but we don't think of our teachers as friends or parents or that close.
Okay.
But equally, we're not like, yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
It's not that formal. So, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, parents watching at home. I'm not going to tell you how to parent. But yeah, for me personally, I just don't like to have any muddied waters in my online interactions.
Okay, great.
But that's also because, all of my teaching has told me, don't do that. So.
My last question, because actually we should talk about play. So I just want to, for the last question, I will talk about jumping the hedges.
Yeah, go on.
Okay. So we have talked about the value, and also talk about it's impossible to play it in the school in Skotlandia. Because maybe it's hard because they not used to play this kind of game or your game, jumping the highest. But how can the value still can pass to them, even though the game it's different? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything stopping children now from playing jump the haggis in their streets.
Okay.
I don't think it would happen in schools.
Okay.
But I don't think it couldn't happen in the street. Yeah, violence is a really interesting one because it is a part of life, unfortunately. It doesn't have to be a part of our personalities, but we see violence around us, and violence exists in society. And it is something to confront as a child, to understand. And let's not lie, all children can be violent when they're in the wrong mood or in the wrong circumstance.
That's
it's a part of human nature. But I think what's interesting about performing that violence in a game that's in person with people, you're sort of reading how violent you can be before it's too far.
Okay.
When you're doing it socially.
Okay.
Because like you said, you would be enjoying whipping people. But you also read the situation, you read your peers, and you know that there's a limit. And you know that you could actually get in trouble if you hit somebody too hard, Whereas I think online, I mean, it depends on the game, of course. There aren't really consequences for the severity of violence sometimes online. In fact, some games promote severe violence as part of the game. So I think there's something interesting in playing these. And it's like I said before, it's the same with contact sport. You're allowed to be violent to a certain extent, but then there's a limit and there's a rule. And I think that's a really interesting way for children to learn like where the limit is. And to address this part of human nature, this urge to be violent or the enjoyment from violence. Her, not me. But doing that in a social setting where you then step back and you go, okay, I see what it's doing. Whereas on a game, it's maybe not quite the same. Like on a virtual game or on a PlayStation or Xbox game or something,
It's the end of our game because
my goodness.
I began the game and
and I've just done it. Okay, you look like you've won.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
Let's count it together.
I don't have much faith.
Okay, let's see. Oh, I got 10.
I told you, I have 9.
Oh, yeah!
I did say I didn't think I was going to win.
Okay, so congratulations for Team Lala. You win this game. Okay.
Sorry, Team Nano. Hopefully your next representative will be better than me.
Anyway, thank you so much.
No, of course. It was really interesting to chat to you.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Just speaking to you, it's very clear that our countries handle things very differently
in
terms of our online interactions with children. But that's not to say that one is right and one is wrong. And there has to be some balance in the middle. I think we as a country have gone one way, very far one way. But that's not necessarily the perfect answer either.
So I agree with you.
There's probably room to meet in the middle.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway.
This was fun. Chongklek.
Oh, you remember that.
Hey!
But me, I don't remember the haggis.
That's it.
Yes, I remember.
We're all learning today.
Okay, so before I close this podcast, I have something for you.
Oh, gorgeous.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I forget the name. It's like puppet. puppet.
Okay, yeah.
So
like on strings.
Yeah, on string, but you
Oh, it's a magnet
yeah,
for my fridge.
And I also want to give you this postcard. Okay, what do you know about Indonesia?
Do you have tigers?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what spicy food.
Yeah, spicy
I've never
food.
been. I'm sorry.
No,
It's on my list.
Because many people, when I talk about Indonesia, they will say Bali.
Yeah, sure.
You know Bali?
Yeah, everyone.
So I will give you Sumatra Utara.
Something different.
Something different.
Very
so
good.
Please remember, Indonesia, it's not only Bali.
It's tigers and spicy food also. I'll do better. I'll learn more.
Okay. So yeah, this is Sumatra Utara. So if we count the province from the west one, so the first one is Aceh. I gave the Aceh postcard to Lidi because my first guess, and then this is Sumatra Utara, the second one. I give it to you because you are the second one. So if you go to visit Indonesia, maybe just try to go to Sumatra Utara.
Sumatra Utara.
Yeah,
nice.
Great. You have great pronunciation.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Well, maybe Indonesian's next on my list then to learn. Perfect.
See you in the next episode with the other incredible guests like Amy. Yeah.
And more incredible to come.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Amy. So thank you so much for watching. So Dea and
Amy.
We'll see you next time. I hope so.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Please like, comment, and subscribe the Playdate podcast.
Reminiscing your childhood memories.
Yay! Bye.
Thank you. Bye.